Hello, I'm Liz, one of Derry Public Library's reference librarians, and welcome to another spooky edition of Misinformation Busters. Once a week, we tackle a rumor or false or misunderstood information, and we try to separate fact from fiction. As it is October, we are looking at Halloween misinformation all month. And this week, we are going to Italy to look at a movie that spawned a whole bunch of rumors. That's right, we're talking about the classic film Cannibal Holocaust. It's time for another history lesson. So, what's the story? The year is 1980. Exploitation films are all the rage. These films are made cheap and usually deal with taboo subjects and have a substantial amount of violence and nudity. Cannibal exploitation films were also all the rage at the time, mainly because they dealt with the ultimate taboo. And a majority of these movies were produced in Italy. Yeah, not all Italian films are classy works like 8 1/2. So along comes a little movie called Cannibal Holocaust, directed by Ruggero Deodato. The plot is simple enough. An American film crew goes missing while making a documentary about a cannibal tribe, and the footage is found. Then you watch the movie. It actually looks like found footage. You see people killed, assaulted, impaled on stakes. You see animals killed, and the crew is slaughtered. It looks real. And it's not like there was a big press junket for this movie. No one had seen the actors lately, and they were not big names to begin with. And even the tagline of the film is suspicious. The one that goes all the way. So, rumors started to fly that this isn't just a movie, that we are actually looking at someone's final moments, and that director Ruggero Deodato actually killed, or caused the death of, animals and his actors. So, what are the facts? Well, let's get the big one out of the way. Ruggero Deodato did not kill his actors. He did, however, want to give the impression that everything in Cannibal Holocaust was real. So, unlike a lot of directors in exploitation movies, Deodato actually had some style, some training, and a sense of cinema. His mentor was Italian director Roberto Rossellini. Deodato made the conscious creative choice to shoot this in a way that mimicked a documentary. And he shot in the Amazon. They actually had tribe members in the movie, and he hired unknowns to play the Americans, and then told them to lay low as the movie was in theaters. He wanted this to look and seem as real as possible. This was the Blair Witch Project before the Blair Witch Project. So, where did this rumor originate? Well, first there was speculation from viewers, as this movie was so raw and visceral. But officially, it looks like when it was playing in France, the magazine Photo suggested that some of the deaths were real rather than staged. Now, Deodato was already in trouble at this time. When the movie appeared in Milan, a local magistrate ordered all copies to be confiscated, and Deodato was charged with obscenity. And then, based on those murder insinuations, those charges included murder. Deodato had the one actor he was still in contact with, Luca Barbareschi, to get in contact with the other actors and told them to appear on a TV interview, proving that no, they were not murdered. The harder part, though, is proving that the native actors were safe because they couldn't be located as easily. Deodato had to explain how the impalement effect worked. He had a young native woman balance on a pole with a seat and hold a piece of wood in her mouth. And then he had to make sure to provide photographic proof of her interacting with the cast and the crew. This is really just a wild story about how far a rumor can go. So, no person in the cast was killed. But the animal deaths, unfortunately, those are real. That turtle is actually killed on screen, along with other animals, and that, along with the oodles of simulated violence, is why this movie was banned in multiple countries, even after it was proven all the actors made it out alive. Honestly, the film industry really didn't care about animal safety on sets until like 10 years ago. I am exaggerating, but it really wasn't until the 80s where stuff like this started to be way more controlled and regulated. And the same goes for cast and stunt person safety. Anyone who tells you Hollywood was better back in the 50s is lying. It was incredibly unsafe back then. Alrighty, well, what can we learn from all of this? Well, based on the photo snafu, it shows the power of suggestion, and it also shows the downside of playing this publicity game. Deodato kind of figured that nobody would really think this is real, but we have to remember, at the time there had already been panics about other movies being real. Films like Snuff and Faces of Death had come out, and though those aren't real, people thought they were. And with pornography entering the mainstream, let's just say people were more open to the suggestion that people were putting real things on film. Plus, there was another fact that the movies weren't made on studio sets anymore. There really was this fear in the 70s and 80s of any sicko can pick up a camera and make a movie of ill repute. But this is also a good example of critical thinking. Let's look at 1999 when the Blair Witch Project was being promoted as lost footage. My first thought, teenage me, when I heard about this was, yeah, this looks real, but no studio would release this footage if it were real. It'd be in an evidence locker, not a movie. And the same would go for this. I mean, there actually have been movies released where deaths have happened on the set. The Crow and Twilight Zone, the movie, are very tragic examples. But no movie would release someone's literal last known moments. I mean, even Werner Herzog pumped the brakes on Grizzly Man. Overall, I do think this is just an interesting story in the film world, and it's a story of how far a rumor can go to the point where a director had to literally prove he didn't murder his cast. Actually, to his credit, Deodato did handle it well. Years ago at a horror convention, my significant other talked to him, and it was pretty matter-of-fact about it. I mean, really, how many other directors can tell that story? Thank you for watching, and as always, look for our sources in the comments, and if you want to do some research, you can use our EBSCO databases, available through the library's website, and I'll see you next week.